trading for Tim Hardaway Jr. And 3 second-round picks in exchange for Quentin Grimes. And we kind of foresaw this coming. Trajan Langdon, the Pistons have a lot of cap space, and Trajan was going to find a way to absorb contracts, short-term contracts that are expiring very soon. Tim Hardaway Jr. is set to be a free agent this upcoming season, next offseason rather. And the Pistons are able to acquire draft capital in exchange for him. So to me, this is a great trade for the Pistons. You get, Tim Hardaway Jr., which if we're just talking about it from what they got, he can shoot. He's a fine player. He's a fine role player. Out of the rotation in the finals for the most part for the Mavericks. But really the big part of this deal is the 3 second-round picks. And not just this deal, but what's to come for the future. When you look at what Trajan and the Pistons want to do, it's about acquiring assets, taking on short-term expiring contracts, and building basically a chest of draft capital, which look around the league. I mean, that's what you're going to need in the future when you're trying to acquire talent. So to me, this is smart. I mean, you look at free agency already, and the best free agents available are already pretty much gone. I mean, OG Anunoby returned to the Knicks. Nick Claxton returned to the Nets. And when you look at Paul George and Klay Thompson, they're not even the right fits for the Pistons. And it's not realistic, but they're not coming here either. So for the Pistons, at least when you're talking about, who's going to save them this free agency, there isn't anyone out there. So you have all this money. They still have $50 million in cap space, even after this deal now acquiring Tim Hardaway Jr. So the smart thing for the Pistons right now is to acquire assets, take on contracts like Tim Hardaway Jr., who are set to expire. And people might say, well, this is what Troy Weaver did. Tried to do. I like this approach for Trajan. This is the smart way to do it. You got to make sure you're getting assets back in return, though. And 3 second-round picks, the Mavericks wanted to trade away his contract. They want to bring back Derek Jones Jr., and this is how they feel like they need to do it. Trading away Tim Hardaway. And the Pistons are like, hey, we got cap space. We could take him. And it's very similar to what Charlotte did yesterday. Woj talked about this in a tweet. They're using cap space to take on contracts for future draft picks. So there's probably going to be more to come, just foreshadowing for the future. I don't think the Pistons are done here when it comes to acquiring contracts. Now, short-term contracts, that has to be, what's involved. Now, we're not talking about acquiring contracts that are multiple years long, 3-4 year contracts. No, short-term contracts in exchange for assets. And the Pistons are just strapped right now for assets. I mean, they don't own their first-round picks. They're protected. So you only can trade them on draft night, and getting second-round picks. I know the second-round picks aren't as valuable as the NFL, for example, but they're still draft picks, which can be used to be turned into a player or more picks, or moving up and getting a first-round pick, whatever the case may be. So this is a positive thing for Trajan Langdon. I want your guys' thoughts. What do you make of the move, and what do you make of kind of this approach to the offseason? If this is what Trajan Langdon's going to plan to do, I like it. A lot of the NBA community, at least the response I've seen, they like it. I don't think this is bad at all. It's a good approach for his first offseason. Using some of that cap space, I'm sure they'll sign some players in free agency. You acquire a bunch of draft capital, and you keep it moving. But what do you guys think? Comment down below. Share your thoughts. I'd love to know. And what have you thought of Trajan Langdon so far with drafting Ron Holland, and now the trade, his first trade ever as the president of basketball operations? So I think it's a great trade. Quentin Grimes is someone that down the stretch last season wasn't very good. He's good defensively, but he's not a player that you look at and say, well, this guy you cannot let go. He's a part of your core. It was never that case. Like, Quentin Grimes was here, didn't play well in Detroit. I think he shot like 16% from three while he was in Detroit. So I have no issue with this. But comment down below. 3 second-round picks, Tim Hardaway Jr. in exchange for Quentin Grimes. It's a great trade. But let me know in the comment section below. And what do you want Trajan Langdon to do with the rest of the money? A lot of money available, $50 million. What free agents do you think the Pistons should pursue? You can check out our live show 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every single weekday, and subscribe, because we're only about, 150, 140 away from 8,000 subscribers. Until next time, I'll catch you guys.